So our first review this month is Beyond Two Souls, which I believe you've been playing, Mr. Smith.
I did do a play of Beyond Two Souls.
What did you think of it? Is it a good game?
Oh man, it's really difficult.
Is
to
it a game
review.
at all?
Well, therein lies the question. Some people would just, will hate this because it's the same as Heavy Rain. Arguably, no, it's not really a game. It's more of an interactive film. This one is a bit more of a game than Heavy Rain.
Okay.
Because you do actually, there's a bit more character control. Like this, whereas in Heavy Rain, there were very few sections where you actually had control over your character.
I was just holding a shoulder button to walk pretty much.
Yeah, whereas this time, at least you're using the analog stick to push forwards and they walk forwards and all that. But no, for the most part, it's the same as Heavy Rain in that you watch the cutscenes, you press the buttons when it tells you to press the buttons, and things happen. So if you had no time for that before, nothing's changed. You're still going to be.
It's still interactive fiction.
Yeah. So whether you're okay with that or not is kind of irrelevant. This is a game all about the story, and thus I feel it should be judged on the quality of the story.
Go on and judge it. How is it?
It's pretty rubbish. David Cage isn't a good writer.
Right.
I get the feeling that he wants to make movies, but he knows he's not good enough to make movies. But he thinks that for some reason making games would be easier.
Right.
It's not. If you can't write David Cage, then you can't write. It doesn't matter what medium you're in. Heavy Rain, if you've played it, you'll know suffered from some absolutely glaring plot holes. Wildly inconsistent kind of turns of narrative. But it started off well, and it was still quite enjoyable.
Mm-hmm.
David Cage might not be able to write very well, but what he is good at is watching movies and kind of copying the atmosphere and the scene setting. He knows how to he knows how to kind of frame a scene. He knows how to make it look good. He knows how to make it seem emotional. It's just that the content itself is kind of lacking. Heavy Rain and this one were both best when they were kind of small-scale human drama.
Yeah.
And the problem with Beyond is that there's a lot less of that and a lot more ridiculous Hollywood, Michael Bay kind of action. If Heavy Rain was David Cage doing a kind of French art house indie film, albeit one with a serial killer in, this is him trying to do Transformers.
Right. Okay. So how silly does it go?
Oh, it goes so silly, so silly. And the problem is a lot of it's spoilers. But this is it. It's all about Jodie, who has this kind of spiritual entity that's connected to her, so she can do all these cool psychic things. So she gets put in a kind of CIA experimental facility when she's young, and then obviously gets drafted into the CIA. When she's a bit older, because she can do all these crazy cool psychic things.
The CIA likes that, do they?
Yeah, and at this point, it completely jumps the shark, really. Like you'll have seen in previews like her in Somalia or whatever it is, and for a little bit it tries to be an action game, and even with stealth elements as well.
Really?
And it handles like absolute arse. It's terrible. The character handling is like the worst thing since Resident Evil. It's so bad.
Proper tank control stuff.
Yeah, it's best. This is the best bit of the game when Jodie's homeless. It's best when it's telling a relatively low key story. It's no coincidence that this is the best bit of the game, and it's the bit with the least supernatural nonsense.
How does the supernatural stuff work?
You control Jodie, but then you can also press triangle to control Aiden, who's the kind of ghostly dude who follows her around. It's only in certain areas, and Aiden can interact with specific things in the environment that are marked. So there are kind of a few puzzles, but they're not particularly puzzling because everything you can do is very clearly marked out.
Right. Okay.
So you'll never really be stuck.
Okay. It's no ghost trick then.
No. It's kind of a similar concept.
Yeah.
In that you've got this invisible thing
possessing
flying around and messing with the environment, so Jodie can progress. But it's never particularly challenging, but it doesn't aim to be. You know, this isn't a game people are playing for the challenge, so that's fine. Yeah, it looks lovely. You can't argue that. You know, it looks fantastic. Ellen Page puts in a decent performance, as does Willem Dafoe, considering some of the absolute terrible lines they have. They at least gave it a college try. And yeah, it starts off quite well, Beyond, and it just completely jumps the shark. It goes so kind of sci-fi, action Hollywood by the end of it.
Right, so it'd be better if it was all scaled back, basically.
Yeah, like these are the best scenes when it's kind of human drama, because David Cage seems to know how to do that. But as soon as he kind of ramps the scale up, I think he trips over his own feet a bit.
All goes a bit Fahrenheit.
Yeah. So it's interesting.